Well, I think we're live at this point.
Yes, sir.
Welcome everybody to another Friday night with Pirates Crib Roundtable. And I'm going to post the Google Hangouts for anybody that wishes to participate in a few minutes. I'd like to have everybody participating to. If you feel free to introduce yourself at this point. This is Hefe, if you don't know who it is. And Tito?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Highlander, you there?
Yes, this Highlander. How's it going?
Pretty good. Ada Wolf?
Hello, I'm here.
And Disturbed God?
Hello.
Hey. And Brian?
Yes, this is Brian. I is here.
Okay, very good. I guess we can get things started now that we got the formalities taken care of. Can you go to the next slide? If you've noticed, okay, this is just the coming soon again. The only change from the Wednesday show, the two TLCs are ongoing, and I think one actually ends 10-4 and then one's 10-5, but you know me, I paid no attention to the megas. I usually leave the room when we're talking about them. And the Fragment Drop Weekend is also ongoing. And it doesn't apply, as I recall correctly, it doesn't apply to the Mega Hall fragments. Is that correct? Since, again, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Wait a second. Can you post the link to the Hangouts in the chat? Study over there that would like to join.
Yeah, I'll post it in a minute. And then the Stormrunner raid is what we think the raid is going to be called based on the preview that, not today's preview, which we'll get into a little bit, but yesterday's preview. We'll be starting 10:13, and we'll be discussing some of the prizes and how they've already changed since the preview in a moment or two. And there we go. And let's see if I'm going to be pasting the correct thing. Nope. Alrighty. I guess we can go on to the 1 second, everybody. I am posting the Hangout for everybody that would like to join. If anybody noticed, I personally did not get this offer, but a lot of people got the pop-up for the Citadel sale. I think it's because I already have a full fleet of Citadels is potentially what's going on. On the left is what they're offering for you. They're offering for you to buy either one for, what is it, $29.99 or two for $49.99. And it seems like a decent deal from what I can tell. There's a lot of stuff on there that I personally, if the 109 doesn't change significantly, I would never put on my on a Citadel. I mean, my Citadels don't take any damage. I still have a armor special on mine, way back from when I was using it to hit the 107s because of the arc missile. And then on the right, and that's 250 to 300 coins per ship, depending if you buy one or two. And then on the right-hand side, I've taken what's in that build that I think is potentially useful and you won't strip off immediately and refit it. The 345 to 460 coins depends on the discount that you're getting on your gold. I did not include in this the cost to strip off the stuff that you may not want. And the other interesting part of this is if you look at, I don't know if everybody can see it, but if you look at the weight, oh wait, 727, okay, never mind, it was in another version where the it was overweight. But has everybody else got this special? I mean, I got the sale on a pop-up on the left.
Nope.
Okay. Do you have Citadels?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I guess if you have a certain number of Citadels, they don't offer this to you. Maybe it's,
I don't know. I don't know if that's what it is. A lot of people that I've seen, I have both. I have the $29 one and the $49 one. I only have one Citadel built and a Harlock Citadel. So I think it's
Yeah,
just a limited rollout. From what I was told, it was a limited rollout to test if people actually liked the idea of this, of getting equipped hulls.
okay. Because I have 4, either between the Harlock and the regular, I have 4 built. Danielle, you said you didn't get it?
No, I did not, and I have 3 Citadels built.
Okay. Maybe there's anybody else that, Chris, do you, or anybody?
I don't have it either.
I didn't get it either.
I got the deal.
Yeah, I have 4 Citadels built and building my Harley now. So no, I didn't get it.
Okay, yeah, it seems to be, I mean, it would make sense if there's some sort of threshold. If you have a certain number of Citadels, they're not going to offer it to you.
I have 5.
Yeah, I don't have any, and I got both deals, but they are not worth for me.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal. Like I was saying earlier, it's not a bad deal. And especially the real bonuses for people that don't have some of these blueprints, because the assumption is that you would get these blueprints when you purchase this.
No, that was confirmed. You do. You get every blueprint.
Okay,
that's
because I
equipped.
know. Okay, you get it, but are you allowed to build it again? Because I know there was a
Yes,
problem
you
with.
get the blueprint.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the blueprints for everything.
Okay, because I know they had an issue with the people that were gone for a while and came back, and they were offered the rhinos with the blades that they had
No,
originally.
you got everything. You got everything because I got that offer
but
with me,
but
and I got
people
the
were
front.
having people couldn't refit them at first because they didn't have the blueprints. They couldn't take them off. They couldn't put them on at the beginning.
They
I'm
may have
assuming
fixed that because I could build more, I could refit them, I could do everything. So that's something they fixed.
Okay. And anybody else got anything on this? It seems like a decent deal. If you're wanting to, if you're really struggling and don't want to do the 102s again and again and again and again, and are willing to, I don't love the builds that they're providing you unless they change the 109 in some way, because personally, I don't take any damage in mine. There's no reason to have hails on them. There's no reason to have, massive armor plates on them. There's really no reason to have evade on them. So the build is a little bit confusing to me. But even if you strip all that stuff out, it's not an awful deal. So I guess we can go to the next slide unless somebody's got something else.
With regard to the Citadels,
Yeah, in regard to the slide.
I mean, I think given some of the stuff that's been eked out and the FM tweaks and stuff, I think that this is actually not a bad deal, especially if you need something to hit the 109s with. Because then, look, you're getting this, they're already built, you just got to rank them, which is true. But all you really need to do now is build a tank, and you're good to do the 109s.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the next BXP weekend, because I guess it has no rank, and without rank, they make a lot of change.
Yeah, but you can always friggin' put them into friggin' old school salvages for a while. I mean, auto them.
Yeah, that's I agree.
To be honest, isn't
Yeah.
that like telling you what to build and how to build it?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's a build. It's not
the-
said to be the best one, but I think you can do 100 of these builds.
It's better. It's better than what they've offered in the past in terms of pre-built stuff.
Well, what
Yeah,
I'm
just
saying, a lot of people were complaining that they're actually telling us how to build our ships. They don't want us to build our way anymore, and now they're selling.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know that this telling you how to build the ships. What I think they're doing is telling us that they are really going to stick to the delineation of ships. Like, they really want us to build PvP for PvP.
And then change it on us.
I mean, and that's just part of the game change. That's partially our fault for wanting all these plug and play and click the back of the base hulls, and them for coming out with those click the back of the base hulls. I mean, that's a big ugly monster that this is the only way that they've been able to come up to fix it. And good or bad, I mean, I think this is the way that they're going.
Besides, I cannot understand people complaining at times how to build the things, because hey, in this show and other shows and other pages is full of people asking how to build because they have no idea.
Oh, I mean, there's all sorts of people shit mail that of people just ask like, "Hey, what do you think of this build?" Man, come on, And honestly, there's still ways to come up and innovate. I mean, we've shown it that you can still come up and innovate. You're limited to what you can innovate nowadays. And they're going to counter it. They're watching us. They're looking and they're paying attention to certain people, and they're going to try and counter us. I mean, it's just more obvious now than it was in the past.
Yeah. Everything that we try, though, they mitigate, don't they?
Oh, they try and mitigate all our builds. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's become more of a player versus Kixeye thing now than it used to be.
Yeah, it's not a hidden thing. Actually, Raycon admitted that on a show, saying that they recognized that the dev team was unable to beat the community mind trying to build something that we couldn't break the puzzle. So they are using us nowadays to develop better puzzles.
Well, that makes more sense. I mean, you got a team of say like 16 to 20 versus a community of 30,000. I mean, collectively, who's going to be smarter? Who's going to come up with something innovative? I mean, the innovation of 30,000 people versus 20, unless it's really, really, that's just clear. It's going to happen.
I didn't actually mean that though, George. What I meant is because they're actually showing you the build there, they know what to mitigate against you. So if you actually buy that, then they can mitigate.
I see. I see. Well, here's the thing. The people that have all the tech already probably are not going to leave that hull the way it is. I know off the top of my head, at least three weapons and a special would have to change for me to be able to do what I want to do in the FM. But on the other hand, for people that do not have the tech, I mean, how far does that get you ahead? Because Siege Battery 3, that's in the FM and it's in the Retro Lab, not Retro Lab, the Foundry as a step. I mean, this actually gets you up ahead on a lot of stuff if you're trying to catch up.
I think all the Foundry requirements. Siege Battery is for Secret Mission 3. Combustion system is not even something you can achieve at this point, and it's one of the first prizes on tier 5, the Judge's Mortar. So you're getting a bit ahead.
It boosts you up really well if you don't have the tech. I mean, it's a great deal for people that don't have the tech, and honestly, for the price, for those people, it's a fantastic deal. It's not, in my eyes, as great of a deal for me. Like I would want a discount because I have all this tech. There's nothing on there that I want other than the hull already built.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. I haven't got the Judgment Mortars, but I've got everything else on there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
And personally, if I was going to build them from scratch, and I was just going to use them for the FM, I wouldn't put Judgment Mortars on them.
I might, because you can pop in, drop a couple in the air, and then have your tank leave before they even land. They do. No,
I'm saying they have the same projectile speed as the
right, but they do double the damage.
The ship versus the building damage is what I'm talking about.
They do.
I don't know. We can get into that later.
But anyway, do you have a slide of the whole thing, like before you took all this stuff out?
What, with the 2 for 49 and
the way they actually have it? Yeah, the way they actually have it offered.
No, it was too. I couldn't put everything on the same slide.
Okay, when you get it, it comes with 2 different types of armors as well, right?
Oh, well, on the left-hand side, you see the armor. I mean, did they have 2 different... again, I didn't get the special.
I can't see it because the bars everybody's on there. I don't know how to get rid of the bar with everybody. I'm on the presenter side, man. I can't... All I can see is all the people that are on the chat.
Look again. Did it change?
No.
Huh. Okay. I remove. Oh, when you go to look at the top of your Hangouts on the left-hand side where it says Show Participants,
Oh,
click
got
that.
it. Okay, thank you. All right, so it's just missile armor. Okay, I was under the impression they had two different types of armors because that would have made it even better for people that didn't have it. But I mean, look, people that do not have these blueprints, it really is a fantastic deal, and you know, it's actually not a bad deal if you're trying to get up to tier 5 of the FM because honestly, I think with that Punisher tank that I have, I could actually probably pull off a 109 with just 2 of these behind it. I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to try it and test it, but unless someone wants to send me $50 so I can get them and try it, I'm not going to test that one.
Yeah, and the big thing, which I really hope, in the maybe in the the lock store where they have the shards, if they make the Harlock Citadel available again. I know they made it available in one of the TLCs in addition to the raid, but it's been shown to be quite invaluable at this point. So I'm not sure how many people own the blueprint. It would be great in the future if that was released because it turns the Citadel from a good ship, the normal Citadels, from a good ship into just a beast on the 109s.
Yeah, but you say that the Harlock was
Neighbor.
given in one raid. I think it has only been given twice, and it was in a TLC.
It was in TLC and wasn't the other one in a raid?
No, in the raid, in the last Holo store, there was the normal Citadel, but the Harlock Citadel has been just offered twice, and it was in the TLC that they repeat with the Soy Apollo, and it was the 4 and 5 rounds of that TLC.
Well, I remember that because that would have given me that was my second blueprint of it because I already owned it before that one. I'm trying to figure out how did I originally win that. I thought I bought it in a raid.
Which?
The Harlock Citadel. I don't know which raid
No,
it was.
It was the only time it was offered was in the 2 TLCs, I believe. Oh,
Okay.
actually, you know what? Last raid, that last Hall raid, was it in there?
No,
I
the
don't know.
last Holo store,
I don't remember where I won
it was offered the normal one.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was just the two TLCs. All right, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to hang on to that slide
worries.
that long. I
Okay.
wanted to make
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
for people that
Let's
don't
move
have
on to the
those
next
keys.
slide. Somebody needs to, the presenter needs to step away for a second. Danielle, if you're still here, could you go to the next slide? And we'll talk on that. Thank you. Alrighty. This is the original Spite that was in the preview, and it's been changed significantly. And hopefully she'll get back soon. I just wanted to show this to show that the Kixeye is reacting to our changes. Our input from the original preview, that they've made quite a few changes. And Danielle, if you're still there, if you go to the next slide, she might be away for about, guessing about a minute or two. But you were in that. Anybody that was in the preview the day before yesterday, I think their impressions was it was sort of a weak haul, and
Mediocre.
basically the other Conqueror halls were performing much better than this one was. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Especially you could build that Fury that is now sailing the seas, that is built with missiles, was working better than this one.
It was this one. This one was mediocre at best in the tester.
It reminded me a lot of a Kodiak in some ways, Could be powerful,
Yes.
but could be slower very easily.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it'll have its. I mean, it could have its uses. And the thing is, and I mentioned this in the test server, very early on. I was looking at it, and the first thing that came to my mind for this was it's a fantastic hull to go and hit mega hulls with. And I don't know if that was the thought behind it, or if it was supposed to serve a dual purpose that way. But that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the hull.
Yeah, another thing that I saw was a huge weakness is how easy it was to stop it if you have glacial turrets in your base. Because so I don't have, so I suggested to Rooster that if this was going to come, if they could study the chances to put back into the store or something like that the shielded tactical model, because any base that has that glacial turret was stopping you.
Yeah,
No,
that's
there
right.
wasn't a chance.
Yeah.
And our slide main is back. If she could go to the next slide, and we can see some of the changes that they've made. What Tita was just mentioning on the right-hand side is they've added a field resistance of 50%.
Yep.
Which should help out with that. On the left-hand side, they made it retargetable, and they've added 50% to both building damage and wall damage.
I think it was retargetable before, was it not?
It wasn't listed there. I mean,
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I mean, the only thing that was listed in the original blueprint was the top 3. So I added that in.
I mean,
Pretty much anything that you would stick on it nowadays would make it retargetable anyways.
The building damage buff is actually not bad. I just still don't know that would make it that much of a difference. And the additional speed boost on the overload, I mean, that would be great if you led Furies, maybe, but on its own, I don't know. It was, the hull itself was not, like I said, it probably has some uses. It's a really good prep fleet from what I could, see, and it was not something that I was hitting.
Am I really reading that right? It says plus 100,000 radioactive deflection.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. With this, normally what stops you, for example, if you are using the Fury, is those anti-bolts, vanquishers and stuff like that. Yep. This for me is the prepper for that fleet. Or even if you can put 3 or 4 Furies, I think Laredo hit me with something like, and it was fantastic because he was prepping everything that was with launchers ahead, and then was sending the Furies, and the Furies just were demolishing the base.
Yep. Like I said, it's got uses, and I think this goes back to the whole idea of them trying to balance out everything, where you have to actually balance your all right then you have to balance the base defense. I don't know who that was. You got to balance the base defense and the way that you're going to design it now for you're not going to have an unbreakable base, I guess, is their thought, and they want to balance between all of the options rather than just have one click the back of the base deal. Whether or not they're going to pull it off, I don't know, but I kind of do like the fact that this is not a super duper, hey, flatten the base right away type of deal.
Yeah, and with the combat speed buff, it seems like it might be, at least to me, it seems like it might be decent for, spotting for vendettas and things of that nature, in addition to, you mentioned the Furies, but it seems like this might be a nice one for, once you really get that puppy going for 10 seconds at plus 50 combat speed, you might be able to skip over a few things that...
if you don't die, but I mean, also, if you lead in the Furies...
Yeah, assuming you don't die.
Yeah, I mean, if you lead the Furies with that, you're going to have that die off early, with the Furies just plowing behind it. You're going to have a lot more shots at the Fury as it's coming around the corners once it's going that fast.
And to point that is the first Conqueror that actually can deal with ballistic.
I'm noticing the range on the missile. Is that with or without SFB3?
It doesn't impact it doesn't impact the SFB3 or guided missile system. Doesn't impact that. That 97 range is static.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the random launch override, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to say, I don't see a missile here anywhere.
Yeah, it looks more like one of those Apoc mortars shells, but it was doing a good job.
It appeared to be a lot like, in appearance-wise, it appeared to be a lot like the big orange pumpkin that the Grimshine Wrath launched. You guys had those. And it's, has a similar sort of, causes things to explode and, fire and brimstone.
Well, the interesting thing is that one gives a nerf on or a debuff on the reload of the target that it hits.
Yeah, and I wonder if that impacts both ships and does it affect everything?
I don't know. That's a good question. I forgot to ask that actually, because I did ask about it a little bit while I was on the server, and we kind of got distracted on something else. I can't even remember what the hell it was, but yeah, it's that's an interesting little stat right there.
Yeah, and it appeared to be that when I was using it, it appeared that it would launch basically one per salvo. Did you notice that? Pretty much, or at least 3 out of 4 salvos, it appeared to launch a big flaming pumpkin.
Yeah, what I noticed generally was that it was like on the very first shot, you would get a bunch of them going right off the bat, which is interesting. You might.
Yeah, well, I was doing a little testing with one ship at a time, so I could, see what it was doing. Because once you start getting 4 or 5 ships involved,
it gets complicated.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be taking video and screenshots and stuff like that. So when I was first evaluating it, I was hitting salvages just to see what it would do, how it would turn, what it was firing, and whatnot. But yeah, I noticed it was at least 3 out of 4. You got the pumpkin going on. Should we move on, or we got anything more on this fight?
Yes.
Okay. The top one, again, we're just trying to show how the feedback worked, because this is exactly what I said. The top one is the preview server. The bottom one is the updated stats, and they're trying to make. Because originally, when I saw the top one, I was like, I'll use guided missile systems, and we'll save that for a little bit later, and blades, as opposed to what's going on. And now they've added an accuracy buff in there, and it's as long as the build time's not outrageous, it seems like a very good option now. I mean, the tricky part about it is what I circled in red on the top one is that you can't put it on anything but a Conqueror class hull.
Correct.
And I wonder how many people are going to be putting these on Furies.
Possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. I mean, it's and this is actually a really good example of how, as much as they screw stuff up, they actually do listen. I don't know if they listen 100%, but they listen. They actually are taking the feedback in. As we saw today, though, they still can screw everything up. So
yeah, it seems like some people are taking the feedback and other people aren't. As we witnessed with Pirates Blunder this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a company. They do got to do stuff. I mean, no one's gonna be perfect, but sometimes I don't know. We'll see. But it's this actually got much better than it was before. I still, personally don't like the whole class thing, but I don't see that changing. I think that's going to be a new thing going forward.
And I'm assuming flak evade bonus is diminishing returns from 100%?
I don't know. I haven't actually played with that. I was actually going to see if you could go back one slide to see what there's a flak evade bonus on the on that hull, right? Is there not?
It's 30. But then I'm also thinking, I'm sort of cheating ahead. But the flak evade bonus on the blade is 80.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
So we got 30 plus 30 plus 80. So
what do you start with? Where do you go from it? I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I do not know. I can ask. I can see if I can find out. But either way, with that combination, you're going to be really high on the flak evade.
Yeah. It's if they decide that's what the right build is, there's no reason to put any flak in there. I guess we can move on to the next one.
We're cheating ahead.
Okay. Scoria missile. These are the updated stats. It was much worse beforehand. And it's still not. I mean, on the table in the bottom, I've provided, just the basic stats for the 2 missiles. I mean, I put the blade at R15. I don't know that we have any reason to believe that the Scoria is going to go into the retrofit lab at this point. maybe they'll think about it, or maybe they'll change the stats on it. But they haven't put anything in the retrofit lab in a while, have they?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now,
Okay.
here's the thing. You did not put in the switchblades, you little. But
Whatever. I mean,
the other thing is that you didn't take into account.
I put this table together. I mean, because I didn't see the new stats until about 6:50. What time was it, everybody? It was like 6:50, and I got the new stats. So this was actually created. This was finished about 2 minutes before the show started.
Is that a cross between a blade and a vulture missile? In that?
Well, that's the thing that I was going to say was, at the 25% chance for critical damage, it is huge once you get somebody down to, or something down to 50% health.
Yeah, that's the column second from the right hand side, less than 50% ship.
Oh, gotcha. All right, the
So
DPS.
it becomes better at that point, but it's still not killing it.
Right.
So.
And that DPS
And then you need to factor in the fact that this missile doesn't have any flak evasion, and the blade has 80% flak evasion.
Right.
So
on this
one might need a little bit more improvement.
On that DPS, you did it on the 9-second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
And also, I didn't even make it worse by making it DPS per 100 tons, because the scoria is 300 and the scoria is 330 and the blade is 300. So these numbers get worse if you do it by weight.
But with ships nowadays, that's not really as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yeah, but
does the blade have salvos? Is it a 3 salvo? I can't remember.
I can double check, but
because
I mean, this one is going to be probably better against ships, just because of the higher base damage. So it's going to get through deflection better.
That's the Scotty with no.
The cycle time or not.
That's the Scotty with no retro though as well, isn't it? It's just about double damage.
But it's been so long since something has actually been introduced into the retro lab that the assumption is at this point that it potentially won't be.
Yeah, the blade's only a single salvo too, so it don't matter.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would matter is when you look at that is as far as the deflection, because it's got a longer reload time, but it's busting through more of the deflection. If whatever you're dealing with has assault deflection, then it's doing a better job on that. So it's.
And on the other hand, too, if you think about this, given some of the hulls that are coming in your base, if you put this up, say, next to a Vanquisher, and you throw on, res cap, and bump that number even higher, and then you have the specials just bumping, damage on the missile, you could actually do some pretty good hurting on a lot of the Conqueror hulls right now.
Yeah. And Laredo mentioned, special gives the scoria the flak evasion. Does the special also give the blade flak evasion?
Yeah, if it gives one, it has to give the other. It's got to be a global.
Yeah, I mean that's my assumption. He just threw that out there, so I'm just asking.
Yeah, I don't know if the calculation stacks additively or multiplicatively. That would be the question.
It's also half the reload time as well, the blade, isn't it? Like, it'll fire twice before Scoria fires once.
Right, but that's part of the DPS calculation there. What I'm saying is that if you look at that damage, right, at 2,700, and then you start adding damage specials, that's gonna have a big old number at the end of the day.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be great for base defense if you have to defend against these fleets. If you start putting these on your rhinos or whatnot, it's got some possibility there, because it's going to bypass a larger percentage of any sort of deflection that they have. I mean, I haven't had a time to look at the numbers to figure out if that increase in per salvo damage is going to make a huge difference. But putting on a missile intended ship in your base, and then you look at less than 50%.
Well, you know how we talked about the one hit damage last week for taking getting through some stuff. If you put strike warheads on this, and then you also have the emissions generator on it, that's going to give you another 30 something ish % on damage.
The emissions generator does additional.
Not emissions, res cap.
Okay.
It's I think it's 30. I want to say like 36, maybe
36, and I think it's
35,
8% more
36.
from plus the 8% for each of the other fuels that could affect that same.
It what?
Yeah, 36 is the starting point, and then 8% more from each of the extra fuels that could
Right,
affect
but
that one.
Yeah, if it's in a base guard, you have to plop it next to one Vanquisher, unless you have it in between two different Vanquishers. You just assume just one.
Yeah,
just one.
I have seen a few.
35%. Yeah.
I have seen a few bases nowadays that have even 3 or 4 Vanquishers, and they have something that focus on all those areas as well. So can be done.
2,700. Well, I'm just gonna go on the worst case. It's 2,700 times 35 is. Oops, I did that wrong.
Okay. Well, do we have anything more unless we've can figure out the math pretty quickly? I think that's probably for another show as far as we and finalize numbers to figure out what the best role of this missile is. But
It's gonna be interesting on what you want.
We can always come back to it later when George has sorted his abacus out.
Yeah, I am actually technically, well, not a technical abacus, but all right, 55.7 on a R15, right?
So
Yeah, my stuff's R15, so I got to use that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
2,700. What did I say? 55. We'll just say 55. That's good.
Even non-coiners will get to R15 someday.
So we have a total of 5,130 for damage. It's got those two specials.
Okay, from Laredo we have that the flag stacks multiplicative, so the munition return.
Multiplicative and diminishing return are two different things.
Well, depending on how they use it, it's the same thing.
It can be the same thing, but it's not necessarily.
Well, in this case, it is the same thing. So I'll save
You know
Laredo
that.
the hassle.
Okay. I mean, it's because multiplicative. If you look at the Hellwraith, that torpedo damage and the concussive damage was multiplicative, but you could put it. It was actually increased.
That was a stacking multiplicative though, because it was two different stats. This is the same stat. They can only code it one of two ways, and that's. He just told us the way that they coded it. So
No, as I say, Laredo is posting there. If you put the missile on the special, you get around 50%, and if you put the blades with the special in that Conqueror pool, you are getting 90%. So the difference is quite significant.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm still liking the blade.
well,
But it depends on the use. Depends on the use.
Yeah, because if you're gonna use it against a Conqueror hull, 5,100 per shot is pretty damn good.
But I'm just thinking if you're hitting a base as opposed to defending a base, it might be two different ways it would be used. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. No. Yeah, that's true. That's very
All
true.
right. Should we go on to the next one, or are we done with our lava rocks?
We're good with
That's
our
what this done with the lava rocks. Okay. Well, we're just going to run this through again. We did this on the Wednesday show because it seems like a lot of the community is not happy with. They weren't terribly happy with the original Reaver targets with the death explosions and all the cavitator rings flashing on and off, And now it seems that they're less happy because now we've built everything thinking we're dealing with subs, and they're going to embrace the sub lifestyle and not put out thermal that's going to outrange all of our missiles. But that's what they did. So basically, pretty much all the targets except for those, I forget what they were originally. I forget they call them. I think they call them spotters now or something, which is I'm not sure exactly what the name of the hulls that don't have thermal. There's usually like 2 in the targets.
They're Hulks, aren't they?
No, they're not
Which one do
Hawks.
you
The
mean?
Hawks have 150s. They're smaller,
No.
and they're the only ones that don't have thermal. They were at one point.
I think they were called originally Hunters, but I don't know if they changed the name. And they have been for a long while in the game, and maybe not many use it.
Yeah, it's been in the game for a while.
Who cares?
Yeah,
They're
they were
killing
built
us.
with those torrents.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then-
We're still gonna die. Don't matter.
Doesn't matter what.
Well,
It's called.
yeah. It's like unavoidable damage of
That's
one
like,
type.
look,
Well,
Now we got unavoidable
I like
damage.
knowing the name of the guy that killed my ship, so I can curse that name. You know?
No, look, man, it's like you're on The Walking Dead and a zombie kills you. It doesn't matter if its name is Bob or Pablo, man. If he bit you, you're dead. Who cares? Pablo, bit me. I'm dead. All right, great. We named it Pablo. Let's go.
We called it Bob, don't we, Tito?
I mean,
I don't know.
all right. Shocknado.
Okay. Well, anybody that saw the Wednesday show knew that if they were going to provide us unavoidable damage and suck all the fun out of the show, I'm sorry, not out of the show, but out of the raid and the targets, that they needed to provide a Sharknado, and that therefore people would be interested, at least entertained, by doing the raid. And so that was my suggestion: is that we go with the Sharknado instead of the thermal. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's why they're keeping the today's preview so hush hush, because maybe they did implement the Sharknado.
Oh, I know
I'm not
exactly
sure.
what happened. Look, I know exactly what happened with the preview today, man. I'll tell you, I got it from a really, really very good, high-ranking Susa Kixai. The
Mhm.
reason that it happened and it got all canceled is because it was they gave the reins to Laredo today, okay? And Laredo could not find his dog this morning, and he couldn't pick his dog, okay? So he was all pissed off. So now we're looking for Stevie. And once we find Stevie, we're going to get a new preview. Stevie is a 3-legged blind dog. When you get him, just call up Laredo, hand it over to him, and we'll get a new preview.
Okay.
That came directly from a high source of Kixai.
Okay. All righty. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I would be more excited if they were just keeping the Sharknado thing under wraps, but that's not the case. So I'm a little bit disappointed, and hopefully Laredo finds his dog.
Save Stevie.
But basically, I did this slide on Wednesday, and I thought since there's a different group of people, that basically the assumption is that I had, seeing the changes, that these changes were made to nerf the Ghost Crawler. Chris was on this show, and Tito was, and but basically it's done to nerf the Ghost Crawler. And so I'm just trying to generate new ideas in case anybody's listening of how we could make, because it doesn't appear Kix wants the Ghost Crawler in here and being effective, is how can we get rid of the thermal, the death explosions, all sorts of things, and make it fun to use your Hell Wraith on these targets, but not give a huge advantage to the Ghost Crawler. Even though a lot of people that own Ghost Crawlers want them to have an advantage, these are another hull. This was a hull that was supposed to be PvP and not really a PvE hull. And so my first idea, and it'd be great if anybody else had any other ideas, is, and I've heard some other ones that I thought were good besides this one, is that at least the scouts are moving when you enter the raid target, and they're moving fast enough that the difference between if somebody's using fire twisters, that 100% projectile speed bonus either allows the ghost crawlers just to clip it or to not be able to hit it, not do significant damage to it, and increase the damage of the fire twister versus the Charon, because if they put the Charon on there, that's then they've overcome that whole thing as far as projectile speed. And I saw another great idea. They keep the cavitator fields, but they put thermal in those cavitator fields. That you can't surface the ghost crawler, but at that range, when those things pop on, those ghost crawlers are seen.
I like that better than having any sort of movement ahead of time, because anybody that's built their Hellwraiths with twisters, especially after having the test server in the raid last month, you're going to mitigate those twisters for everybody that's using them on the Hellwraith, and that's the torpedo that was sold for this.
But what I'm saying is, you're trying to take advantage of the fact that the Hellwraith has a plus 100 projectile speed that the ghost crawler doesn't have.
It doesn't matter, because some people built it with the special and some didn't. If you put that special on a ghost crawler, it's going to come close to what a Hellwraith without the special has on it.
That's what they need to figure out. That's what they need to tune. But yeah. I mean, that's what I'm asking for. I mean, I'm just saying, what other ideas do you have to throw out there? I'm just throwing out one idea.
The one I pushed a lot today was taking the big targets, like in the last set, or that set from last month. All the big hulls, the ones that don't move that fast, put thermal on those. Because you know what? They can start moving. They'll be able to see us before our torpedo range comes in. And the Hellwraiths, not much of a big change, because you can still hit them with speed. Ghost crawlers, on the other hand, can get nailed. They're gonna take damage.
Yeah, I mean
that one kind of covers everything, and bars the ghost crawler from coming in. Now, will they be able to go in and kill off all the little scouts and all that stuff? Yeah, possibly. If they combine it with the idea of putting thermal in the cav fields, though, maybe not. I mean, there's ways to do it.
Yeah, and I think some of the historically bad subdrivers, even the ghost crawler subdrivers, would have a real hard time with that.
Yeah.
If you put the thermal in there, because it's just used to clicking and and they're not as, I don't own one, but they're not as fast and it's not as agile as the Hellwraith, so they would have a much more difficult time generating the damage and getting out.
Well, they don't got to get all that damaged either, because they still have a 400% modifier. So, any damage is going to hurt on a ghost crawler.
Yeah, and they don't have the overload either. And the other idea that I discussed a little bit, but I don't have the ghost crawler, is the idea of back when they introduce, it's probably too late, but back when they refoundryized, or they foundryized the subs and introduced the Hellwraith, is to give them 50%, 60%, 70% plasma damage resistance, and don't give it to the ghost.
That's the whole point of getting plasma in the game, though, is to avoid that kind of crap.
No. But what I'm saying is to use it as a tool to if that's what they're trying to do, is get rid of the ghost crawler, give it to everybody else but the ghost crawler.
Right, but then you're also messing with the whole point of introducing it into the game in the first place. That's what I'm saying.
The plasma damage was introduced because of the radiation defense on the tiger sharks, I believe.
Well, it was a way to control and dial in damage,
Yeah, but if they're complaining about the ghost crawler, my personal opinion is they should just bite the bullet. The ghost crawler's here. They can't just take it away from people. They need to bite the bullet and deal with the fact that it's been out for over a year and they didn't foresee something like this coming. But if they gave every other sub, say, 50% plasma protection, they would do and increase the plasma damage from the blowing up to compensate for it. The ghost crawlers wouldn't be nearly as useful.
Well, that's if you have to blow stuff up.
Laredo's actually saying in chat that the Tiger Shark and the Hellwraith are getting an armor boost, but it will come with a little longer repair time.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Are we saying that?
Oh,
Really?
great. Really? Just what we need. More freaking longer repair times.
Laredo
Thank you.
Laredo and I are going to have a little chat because that's interesting that was mentioned.
Talking about that, the thing is the ghost crawler still has the 400% repair modifier. So if you're getting damage, you're taking 4 times more of the repair time.
You're taking more than 4 times because, as I recall, the Hellwraith has a repair efficiency around 0.42. So that repair modifier stacks on top of, what I assume is a repair efficiency around 1. So it's way more than 400%.
For the ones
it depends what armor you put on it as well.
For the ones that own a ghost crawler that are on here right now, how long is your repair time when it is fully dead?
21 hours for my one with the Scourge armor and 23 hours for the one with the stealth armor.
And one of the big issues is, one of the big issues is when you don't, I assume they made this change, is when you didn't actually kill the targets. So there's no death explosion. I think that's part of what they were trying to solve. It'd be nice if, somebody told us why they did this and what issue they were specifically trying to solve, as opposed to throwing things out like Pirate's Blunder and whatnot to have us basically beta test their new targets. But it'd be nice if they open up communication and say, we're trying to fix it. We're trying to fix this. We're trying to fix that, and have an open communication regarding that, as opposed to having people get really upset about these TLCs.
Man, that's a catch-22. That's a catch-22 for KXI no matter what. Because if you go, hey, you know what, we're going to do this because we want to fix this, everyone's going to flip this shit because of that. Or they can say nothing, and then everyone can just get a little bit annoyed, and that's it.
But here's the thing, on the topic of the ghost crawler, I don't own one, okay? I really wish I did, but in a way I wish I don't. These raids are meant to be with subs. Why can't they? I know several people that were having issues where they couldn't even use their ghost crawler in the last raid because of, like Ollie stayed on here, so the ghost crawler was useless. I think that if you're going to have a raid that is based with subs, that they would also include the use of a ghost crawler for the people who do have them, because there is an overabundance of them in the game now.
Yeah, and the thing about the ghost crawlers, it's a limited hole. If you have one and you want to use it for the raid, you have to design it specifically for the raid, and that's basically where it's going to be useful. And it won't be too much use prepping player bases, because you're going to have all the explosive defense and the stealth and stuff on it. So you have to decide what you're going to do with it, and that's the...
Yeah, but some assholes have 2, and so what do you do with them?
Well, they're lucky, so just let them be how they are.
No comment, huh?
We won't mention any names now, will we?
Not me. Hell, I wish I had one.
I got a question. Now, this these new TLC, isn't that like what's going to be in the raid? I don't like these new targets.
That's what they hinted at, I believe. I haven't paid much attention to forums because it's full of a bunch of crybabies now. But it's supposed to be a preview of the next raid style. And honestly, I hope they change it. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of people skipping out of the next raid.
Yeah, and I will be one of them, because I'm not going to coin all that. All right.
Laredo's also saying that the Tiger Shark's going to be 17,310 armor, and that's 2 hours 1 minute 58 seconds repair, and the HW is going to have 24,200 armor and be 3 hours 18 minutes repair.
Is the Phantom Tiger Shark going to get the same armor boost?
Laredo, can you answer that one?
The answer is yes. All of mine were damaged the same.
That way.
All of mine were damaged the same today as all the other ones. Yes.
Because they have had issues with keeping the limited holes up with at least the flagship limited holes up with the regular version. So I just wanted to make sure the Phantom Tiger Shark would be the same.
Well, when I was on the test server today, the Phantom was as damaged as the rest of them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was still on yesterday. It was on that yesterday too, because I noticed both of those subs were significantly damaged.
I mean, I don't use my Tiger Sharks anymore. That they still have antipodes on them. I don't touch them. It's not worth to me to refit them when I have 2 Ghost Crawlers and Hell Wraiths, and so I'm just leaving them how they are.
Laredo's also saying Kixeye introduces stuff like this, making them super hard, and then dials them back.
Yeah, we all know that. Then we feel like we won when we complain. Yeah, it's a very old trick.
Yeah.
Let's stick burning needles in their eyes. Okay, well, we'll just stick it in their cheeks now. So, I guess anybody have anything else?
No.
No. George, you were all exhausted on topics?
Which topic would you like me to discuss?
Well, no, is there anything that, you have a burning issue to discuss, or, Tito or Chris, anybody or whoever?
No, because I just made my run the other day about the changes on the target, so on the Wednesday show, so repeat them. I think it's just reiteration, nothing else. Summary is what I said. If this is a supposedly friendly sub raid, thermal and long-range weapons are out of the way, because that's what Kixeye has been using in the past to make raids not available for sub. So if you make these changes now, I don't know. I think that you're not doing a sub raid, you're doing some sort of other raid that actually is no fleet raid, because you already tried to ban all the surface fleets, and if now you ban the only hull that is supposed to be the one useful for doing it, I don't know what we should do. Launch rockets from the base and try to kill the target from there.
I am a little cheesed off, actually, because I worked my balls off, excuse the language, in that raid to get that Hell Wraith as well and get it built. I've actually got my third one coming out, excuse me, in 2 days. And I'm a non-coiner, so it's even harder for me than it is for you lot who can buy them and upgrade them and one thing another with your coins. I have to wait around, and then they change target before my ships are even out.
Well,
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, and I'm sure you guys will all agree. And if for people who have been playing the game long enough, no. The first time that they run the raid, that is pretty much where they find all the hiccups. What is working, what is not working, what are people having issues with, what are people not having issues with, and they tweak it for the next raid. And they keep tweaking it until the very last one. And that's when the last raid is usually kick you in your teeth, because that's when it's the hardest, because they realize, okay, by that time everybody should have the Hell Race and the Twister torpedoes, and that's when everybody should be able to do the raid. Little do they realize, there are people out there that are not coiners, and by the time they get their Hell Race ready to do the second raid, well, forget it. You might as well say you're shipping them right back into refit, so now you're out another raid. Okay, so now they're going to tweak it again. The third raid, the people are never going to get caught up. Stick with the thing, thing to be consistent so that people have that chance to be able to do the raid. Otherwise, you might as well say people who don't coin are pretty much SOL in the raids, and they're relying on people who are able to do that refit because they already have the hell race already done.
Agreed, Danielle.
I mean, I don't mind the game, but the inconsistencies, every raid, and how it continues to keep getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Every single time there's a raid, the next one just keeps getting harder, and the next one keeps getting harder. Why don't they go back to the way it was back in when the raids first started, where they could be able to, and everybody knew, okay, you're going to use a mortar fleet. It's the same mortar fleet. You don't have to worry about changing anything. Give the people who are growing and who are non-coiners a chance in the raids, but they're not. And then they saw if they would give the non-coiners that chance to be able to use what they just built for the second raid, they might see maybe a little bit of coin out of them.
And apart from that, though, if they go back to like day one raid, then you're looking at only one person getting a prize, or only top 3 people getting a prize, so nobody will get nothing then again.
Oh, I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is the consistency. Instead of constantly making each month harder and harder and harder, so, okay, you know what the raid was like. Okay, tweak it a little bit so that, people who are coming out who are non-coiners have that chance to use their Nighthawks or their Tiger Sharks or their Kudas or anything, because, they claim, oh, you can use this, the Kuda for this tier or the Nighthawk for this tier or the Tiger Shark for this tier. No, you can't. Because I have members in my group that have those and they couldn't do them. Mm-hmm. And I think that is wrong. That's false. Unless you're actually going to tweak all the tiers to make it consistent with those players that have the Kudas or have the Nighthawks or have the Tiger Sharks that aren't able to coin and weren't able to get the Hellwraith, I think it would be a little bit better for them. I mean, that's just my opinion. Sorry.
Actually, they could do the targets that they said. It's there with the whole. The only thing that maybe they didn't say is that you were needing still the last tech on those holes. Because if you were going with Havoc 4 or Assault Missile B and stuff like that to hit that same target you were supposed to hit, you were not doing it. Because it's not just the hole, it's the whole thing, no? The whole of the specials that kill the target, not just the hole itself.
And I agree with you there.
And the other thing, back because people has been getting a lot of spoiled. When we all started to do raids, were you getting the tier 5 in all the raids? Because I can tell you, I was doing a few raids. I started from the beginning, like everybody, right? First, and I think it was the Barracuda, the first hole I could got when it was first released in the game. So I missed the Dreadnoughts and I missed not the one that came after the Sea Wolf. I don't remember another name.
The Barracuda was the first one that was offered that everybody could get. Everything else before that was top 3.
Exactly. So that way. So I have been used to see things that I couldn't get. People here want to start today and they want to get tier 5, and then they complain, "Hey, I get hit." Well, what can I say? It's like the people complaining that they get hit for a guy that is 50 levels higher than him. Hey, if I help somebody in my alliance and I get him a Conqueror hull and he's level 39 and he goes to hits with that Conqueror hull, bases level 39, that is what he can hit, because at that point he can hit 5 levels higher or 5 levels down. I don't see any difference from a level 100 hitting him, because that hull is something that base is going to be unable to stop. So sometimes we ourselves are creating the problem as well when we are friendly with we try to help our friends or our alliance members, giving them tech that they are not supposed to have yet.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you there, but at the same aspect, what they should be doing then is they should put the Charon or the stick torpedoes in tier 3 in the weekly, because majority everybody can get to tier 3 one way or another, so that they're not using the Havoc torps or the Assault B torps, and I think that's what they need to look at. Okay, why aren't, okay, we'll say, for example, 30,000 people and only half of them did the raid last raid. Well, why is that? And that's what they need to look at. And I think they need to put either the share under the 6 to give an advantage to people that aren't coiners, who don't have the good stuff like we have, to give them the opportunity to put those on their subs so that they have a chance in the raids. Otherwise, they're going to get so far behind, people are going to quit.
I'm
The
curious.
other thing, Danielle, is
When
that
did we get the skirmish torpedoes?
The
Skirmish
sub TLC for the Phantoms.
The TLC for the Phantom, was it near the top or near the bottom?
I think it was the
On the
third
bottom.
one.
Yeah, it was the third. It was the
Two
third
or
one.
third?
I think they ought to contemplate going back to the 50 target raids, because it's not boring. You've got different targets all the time. Okay, when you've done
I
all
hated
50,
those.
then you've got to repeat them again, and it's horrible looking for them on map as well. I agree with that, but it's something different every time you go into a different target. There's 50 targets to choose from. Once you've done all 50, if you can't do all 50, then they're too hard for you. If you can, then you get what you want.
Exactly. I just think that they need to look at what made people, where were they gaining, and like I said, this is just my viewpoint. Where were they gaining the money? Because it's just like any business. Every business is out there to make money. Okay, I remember that even when they had the hubs, they were co-op.
Yeah.
Why not make them co-op again? Why do you got to take away the retreat button?
That's not where their biggest money comes from. Is not from people that hit those targets and hit them co-op. I generate a lot of money for them when I can mark, but not near as much as some of the top coiners. And the top coiners are their bread and butter. On that note. On the other note is, you could find people that, even in the last raid, you could find people that would mark, that would get you some points, get you stuff. And a Hellwraith, my full build, 2 of them take, well, actually one of them takes, what is it, like 13 days, 14 days, all kited out, and that's we're using some odd stuff. You can get the build down a lot less than that. So
yeah, depending on the build.
you could be ready. Yeah, you could be ready. You could have had at least 2 of them ready for this next, for the first raid or the second raid. It's not as doom and gloom as everybody keeps saying. Yeah. It's just not easy. You just have to plan. You got to decide what's
that, George. It's the fact that we've built it. We've actually gone 30 million points. We've built it. We've got it out there, and then they've changed it so we can't even use it anyway.
Well, exactly.
And you only got
Here's the thing.
30 million. Someone's got to use the 49. It was for if you were getting in the August rate.
Here's the thing. The Hellwraith, yeah, okay, great. You get it. You start building it. One problem you're not taking into consideration, though, is the fact of, are they building up fleet prior? Okay, how many days they got left on that? Say what happens, they've got 10 days left on it. So now they're stuck 10 days behind building that Hellwraith to be able to do the raid, to be able to get it out there for VXP ranking weekend. It's just...
Danielle, that comes into the planning.
I understand that, but when you've got a level 58, like I have in my group, I have a level 58. She's got the Fury. She got the top weapons because we got her those. But, she had to wait. And every time that she logged in, her build was getting another day added onto it every time she logged into the game. And she can't turn in a ticket because she hasn't spent $50 yet. So now she doesn't get no support.
Okay.
So, there's...
If you're gonna help them, though, okay? Because I help people in my alliance. And I've gotten like 2 or 3 guys that have actually sat down and listened to what I said, and they're up there now. They're competing. Like, one of the guys actually ended up on the top of the leaderboards in our sector in the last raid, okay? And he started playing like 6 months ago. It's not impossible. The problem is, if you're going to help somebody, you got to help them all the way through. They shouldn't be building a 30-day freaking build right off the bat. Build the hull blank. Your R&D comes into consideration as you're refitting and stuff. There's all sorts of things to this that you've got to take in consideration. You don't just let them go willy-nilly after that. Hey, you got the Hellwraith, you got this stuff, go do your thing. That's not how it works.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, for the people that are out there that are not in groups, or who are in groups but really don't talk to their members, you got people that You know, I mean, you can't just look at, oh, okay, you're in a group, you should do this, this, and this. A group is going to provide as much information as possible. It does not matter what level they are in that group. Okay, I try to provide my group with as much information as possible that, hey guys, we knew 2 months before the sub raid started, everybody, you need to start, building subs. Okay, so people stopped building baser fleets and started concentrating on subs. Well, okay, now one of my lower level guys, he's got tigers, or not tigers, but he's got kudas and he had havoc torps on him. Well, he can't do anything in the raid with the havoc torps because that's the only torp he had.
He can grind C-sets.
I did see sets, Daniel.
Grind C-sets. This is the thing. You can't expect it to come and hang at the S level targets if you have C-set equipment. You have to use the stepping stones and get up there. You can't expect everyone to go, hey, here's the spoon, man.
That's what the girls tell George, but whatever.
No, that's not what I'm getting at is they know that this is a sub raid. I think that they should have put the share on torps also in the weak lead so that the people who could get away from havoc torps and possibly have a better chance, maybe do the next higher target instead of doing the C's, maybe would be able to do the B's by having the share on torps. That's all I'm getting at is that Kixeye needs to look at something like that as to what can they do to maybe boost that lower level who has the kudas to get away from the havoc torps to now get the share on torps because maybe they weren't able to get them during the raid.
But you mean that in the 4 days they couldn't achieve at least the 900,000 that was costing the Sharon?
To be honest with you though, guys, the B set were a lot harder than the C set because you actually had to do 4 targets, right? And I only would get, for my level, because I'm level 90, I would only get 604,000. Now doing C sets, I was getting 700,000.
Okay,
here's 754,000.
Look, since the FM has come out, okay, I believe I have always said you got to prioritize what you want in this game, and the very first thing you ever do is build for the damn FM. Yep. Every single time I have given advice, I have an article. It was my first article I ever wrote was about that subject. The FM
FM's most important because it's weekly.
Okay. So here's the thing. In the FM, those Charon torpedoes are in Tier 4. They're the third thing in Tier 4. You can have them your second week of doing the FM. If you can go in with somebody in your alliance, they can tank for you. You can take out an island. You're done. Okay? I have made a video and shared a build on how to do 109s, man. The information is out there. There are groups everywhere. There's shows everywhere. Even the forums help you on this stuff. There's no excuse to go, hey, I want this shit handed to me.
Yeah, but the problem is that there's still people that don't want to watch a video or read the forums. Or it's likely people say, hey, what's this? No, that's called the Hive.
There's also a lot of
there are people that think the world is flat. Who fucking cares? If they want to live like that, then all the power to them, man.
Okay, but now are you taking into consideration... Are you taking into consideration this? I have gotten members from other groups because the group that they left wasn't helping them, so they would never had that guidance. So now I'm taking a level 50, 60, 70 player into my group, re-guiding them on what they need to do. I mean, you got to take that into consideration.
Are you implying that the level 50
when you call re-guiding, are you meaning spoon-feeding him or just telling him, hey, if you have to research something, research this first. If you are going to get something, go hit this tile first so you get this hull, and with this hull you can go to the next step. What is for you guiding?
But I think across the board, I mean, yes, you can watch videos and whatnot and shows, but there is also a lot of bad advice that gets put out there that people may listen to.
Yeah, they just have to start listening to me.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I have you as a bad preference. Hey, go listen to that guy, you read this article, and whatever he says there, don't do it.
Exactly
opposite
what this dude says.
And I don't blame the people that are putting it out there. It's just that, like with the original part of this raid, with the sub raid, everything was put out that concussive damage was going to be what's going to kill you, and everybody put stuff out with concussive,
Yep.
high builds and whatnot. And I don't blame it on the people that basically chewed up the information they got from Kicksai and put it out there. But yeah, it didn't help to have all that concussive armor and concussive resistance and things like that. It was explosive, but the explosive was just assumed to be a little part of it because it was the unavoidable, it wasn't the primary damage type, but it was the primary damage type. And so even if those people listen to that, I mean, imagine how many weeks of bad builds they put together based on the fact that
Exactly.
thinking
It would
that's
be-
what's going to happen.
You
Wait,
put
think
that
it
build-
would-
hold on.
idea.
Every single bit of
You hit the
advice I
first
ever
target.
heard was to put ablative armor on the things. I didn't hear anybody say try and put like hydraulic resistors on there for the concussive. I mean, some people came up with the idea.
Oh yeah, but a lot of people were putting CTR. Oh, we can talk about that offline
Yeah,
because
that'll be
you
after.
know,
Okay,
they're
yeah.
both friends
That's
of
fine.
ours. That's so that yeah. There's a lot of people that said to put CT on there.
I mean, what they should do is, if they are going to change the targets like they keep doing every 2 weeks or even every week sometimes, they should let us pause us build and at least take it into a storage place and then let us continue with something else. If we have to put another ship on, then that's
I
our
agree.
problem. But that's what they should do. They should let us do that.
Yeah, exactly. So that we can pause that build, come back to it later, and maybe do that refit that we need to be able to do the raid or to do that weekly mission. The game is changing very rapidly, and a lot of people are getting frustrated because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this because this is what's going to help me. Well, guess what? By the time they go and get it all refitted or built to do the Forsaken weekly mission, well, forget it. It's out the window already. So now you've got unhappy people.
Well, let me ask you this: if you know that this is how the game's going, right, and you want to be able to pause your build and this and that, why don't you just plan your build so you can only have it in there for a day or two each time? I don't think there's anything that you can put on a hull, other than the hull itself, that takes more than 2 days.
No, I do
You better
do
look
that
at some of
anyway,
the
George.
hulls.
I always build blanks first anyway.
Right. So
Yeah.
the
But
only
look
thing
at
that-
some of the
that's gonna
hulls,
take-
though, take 10 days, 12 days.
That's true, and that's part of the planning thing. But I'm saying, if you're talking about refitting and all that crap, there's nothing in the game that is going to tie up your shipyard for friggin' a week, putting it on, unless you choose to do that. When I do my refits, I've screwed them up, and I've been like, oh, I got to stop this. I don't want to lose 3 days, but if I lose 12 hours, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
come on.
I mean that's great advice. Is don't do the I see all these people. Oh, I got 21 days in the shipyard. That's like
Hell no.
no matter
No.
what you're doing, you're an idiot. Even if it's like the best build at that point in
Well,
time.
the Harlock
Things-
Citadel.
things will
You know
change.
what? The Harlock Citadel takes an awful long time just for the hull. It's
15
worth it, though.
days.
If you build a Harlock according to our friend here, you're an idiot. You're taking 18 days.
But I understand it's common sense. You need to plan. I get it. I understand it, and so do many other people in this game. But when you're getting people that are joining your group from other groups that were told to build this because this is what works for maybe that person, well, because maybe that person's got everything at R15. Maybe this person's only got things at R5 or R10, and they're not getting the same stats. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're building certain things.
It's not the same if you're a guy that move actively that shipping over the target that if you're the guy that just click on the next target and let it sit over there. Because if you're that guy, you are going to use a lot more hills that he maybe put there because he's just cutting down the ones that could shot at him from the splashes and stuff like that. But it depends a lot on how you play. So at times this is what the first I say. My build, I can share if you want my build, but if you don't play the same way I do, you probably are not going to make the same use I am doing, and it's not going to get you the same result. And that is there.
Yeah, I mean, I always. That's why we never really do on this show or the Wednesday show. We sort of do builds, but we do builds with like. It's not like build it like this. It was more like trying to teach a lesson on how to, what not to do and what to do. Take advantage of this, take advantage of that. But if you try and shoot people builds, yeah, there's so many problems between the technology they have, how it's been retroed, how they play the game, because if somebody coins a little bit, somebody doesn't coin at all these things are factors. So what we normally try to do on this show is just show them the ramifications of different things, and that's what
Even how the drive is a factor as well, isn't it? The way that the
Look,
drive
I'm just, the point that I just want to make sure I make clear is that it's not all doom and gloom for people that are just starting out, but man, y'all got to get them, especially people that are leaders of your alliances, get them to follow the regular tree. FM first, and then you climb your way up into the raids. You're not going to hit top tier in a raid a month after you start this game. Okay? No. On the other hand, Kickside does have to do a better job of getting people relevant in the game quicker. And honestly, one of the best ways I have seen yet is the damn offer they put out today about the Citadels. Because if you're a brand new player and that shit comes up, you're like, hell yeah, give me that crap. Because now I got 2 hulls already built, I have all that new tech, and I didn't have to do crap for it but put down the credit card. And they have a walk into the FM. With those 2 hulls and just about any bloody crappy tank you can come up with, like a Nova Storm tank, will be able to get you to tier 4. No problem.
No, my buddy that's right next to me, he gets to tier 5 every week easily with no coins with Nova Storms.
Yeah. I mean, it's doable. I mean, I was playing with a Nova Storm build after someone posted it today because I just did it.
But you need to have a good
Punisher.
Yeah. Well, originally I had him build an Impala for the 107s. Now he's building a Punisher for the 109 because the 107s, the Apollo as a spotter was very efficient if he knew how to drive it.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten the time down to I think I got one of them to like 48 minutes with the Punisher vendettas that I'm using. But
the problem what I see though, George, is what you're on about when you're on about refitting ships, yeah? Mm-hmm. If I, let's say, just wanted to build one L-Wraith and I put one special on it, why would I want it to come out after 2 days with just one special on it and one weapon?
Why what?
Because that's
what I did, Daddy, and that way I ranked the full fleet of Hellwraith after the raid was over and in the next PXP without having to coin.
Yeah.
Because I made the smallest fleet possible so I could get there.
And also they can change something.
Yeah. But that's what people are thinking, aren't they? They're saying, oh, well, why should I wait 2 days for that? And it's only going to have one special on, right? I'll just smack it all in. 18-day build while wait for it.
Yeah, and then comes the next raid. That's all you are needing. You don't have to rank to hit the target.
Hold on, is the question why shouldn't you?
No. I'm saying that's what people are thinking to do.
Yeah, because they haven't played the game for long.
Yeah, that's the wrong way to think.
Well, I've been here nearly since day one, and I know that I've always built blanks since battle badges and marauders.
Yep, and that's advice that's got to get out there to people because I mean the more they go up in R&D too. I mean there's a noticeable difference when you try and build in a one shot and then if you build it blank and then refit it just from the R&D gains. I mean it is a significant difference. So people got to get their heads out of that thought process and plan, 2-3 days tops unless you absolutely 100% know. I'm going to need that. Like if you're building, say, a Punisher tank that's already been proven for the FM and you can't do the FM right now and that is your key to doing the FM, right? Okay, I can maybe see you blowing, 7 straight days on that. Sure, because FM is priority. FM always first. Everything else after.
Well, actually, that's what I've got to do as it goes as well. I've got to build a Punisher tank to sort out my 107, 109, or 102s, whatever they're going to bring out next.
I'm going to say this, and Laredo can, say more if he wants or not, because he has, he's far less limited than I am. I would not expect to rely on those 107s much longer.
Right.
No, actually, we're expecting them to go after the next raid. I expect them to come up, so I expect next week to be the last time you see them. The only thing I don't know if after the raid the 102 is coming back just after the raid or it will come in a later future.
I think the 102 is back next week.
Isn't the 102 exactly the same as the 107 though? Just less points, more damage.
It's less
Unless
too.
damage, they
Less
cut
damage.
the damage as well.
I mean, I was really torn between keeping my launcher punishers that did fantastic in the 107s to do the 102s, or if I was gonna break them up and try and do some refits for the 109s, and that's what I did. I broke them up and built the one for the 109. So with two of them, I can be done in almost about the same amount of time as I was doing with the 107. So it's not that bad. It's just some refitting, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, Laredo, but are 102s coming next week, or will it be coming after the raid?
The 102s are coming next week. The 107s is the part I'm trying to get him to spill.
What I understand is they're going to after this week. They're on the feedback. They're going to wait a week and maybe put it back in on the 102s, but they are going to do away with the 107s.
Yeah, they are. Well, even Laredo says 107s are going away very soon. He won't tell you when.
One other thing.
That's very.
One other thing, I forget who was it, George or whatever. I agree with building a blank with a weapon or whatever, because during that time, something might come up that automatically you need. Okay, I need to jump this other fleet, and I got to do a refit on it because something happened that it needs a better build, so I can do something else.
Yeah, or an unannounced TLC, and you got a brand new prize that you want to put on. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I actually try to balance my builds to when I'm going to be offline, so I try to get as soon as possible into a day or two into when I'm going to be online.
I try and sync things up with when I'll be in the computer and whatnot, and I'll try and do little small things to make sure I don't have any downtime. So there'll be like an hour, that I'll be on there. And you also need to consider when the FMs are coming up, as far as can I spend that 2-day token that quickly and things of that nature. It's complicated as far as build times, because you need to consider a lot of things especially if you're hitting tier 4 and tier 5.
I think they really need to consider though giving you 2 1 hour and 2 12-hour research token slots. And then you can do your FM straight away, then you don't have to wait, or you don't have to wait until later on to put a 12-hour build, a 24-hour build on, so you can cancel 13 hours of it out so it finishes when you're online.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think most people should. I hope they are actually realizing how much shipyard time, how precious it is, and they plan around it.
Hey, George, am I allowed to talk about the Hellray thing you sent me?
I would assume so. Laredo already, gave it up.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm a little.
The only change is the armor.
Yeah. And I was disappointed at the fact that the repair efficiency stayed the exact same. You've gone from 11,000 armor in an hour and a half, which has a 0.49 repair efficiency, to 24,200 armor for 3 hours and 18 minutes.
If that stays the same. See, that's the reason why why that wasn't supposed to be out, is because they haven't decided on it yet. They don't even know if it's going to get done yet.
Yeah. I wouldn't like this change personally. I mean, because if you crash, one of the things with these subs and a lot of things, if you have a flash crash and you got 4 subs out, it's, you're talking 14 hours of damage just for a little software glitch. And I don't see a reason to go to over 24,000 in armor for a sub, to potentially, people get a little upset if they have a flash crash, and especially upset if it's, 25 coins or whatnot to repair. It might be a little bit better if it's, a little bit lower. But yeah, again, we don't know what's going on, but I don't take it as a good sign that they expect
No.
these subs to be taking more and more damage by more than doubling the base armor points, and then you start adding in, my hulls have 3D5 class armor plates per, so now we're getting way up there as far as repair times, and I'm not sure that I like it.
I'm trying to find Will Laredo said it. What was it? 24,000 for the Hellwraith in 3 hours, 18-minute repair.
Yeah, it's a bit higher up.
Okay. I'm just gonna put that back in the chat again. I'll copy and paste it. Yeah.
What I was going to say to you as well, Jeff, is you're on about that people teach the wrong way. I don't know if you were mentioning me as one of them, but what I normally try to do.
I never hear you talk about builds or anything like that.
No. What I'm saying is I do one target. If I can do it with instant repair, I will do. If not, I'll bring it back, pull a ship out, repair it, like you do. Yeah. If I can't, if I can do 2 or 3 or 4 targets, or even a set like I was doing C sets.
No, I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't talking about the people that actually provide the information. I was talking about the fact that these are very bright people that know the game very well. And the issue that I'm having is we're getting all this communication from Kixeye that tells us this is what we're supposed to do, and and they do a lot of work based on what they hear, figuring out all the numbers and doing all these things to try and come up with the best build for the community. And then it turns out that, Kixeye wasn't being 100% truthful in what they told us about these targets. And I wasn't trying to single anybody out.
Are you using the word truthful? Really?
Transparency. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
I know that there's stuff that changes on the last second, because I know that there's a certain Hellwraith build that I ended up using and building, and it got negated 48 hours before the raid just by adding extra armor on stuff, which boned me, and I was pissed. But it happens. So, I don't know.
Like I always say,
I think they're at least trying more now than before to let us know stuff. I don't want to knock.
Well, like I always say in my streams, George, I always say that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you can tell them whatever they need to hear, but whether they listen and whether they do it is a different thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hell, I've had at least a half a dozen people email me or say something somewhere about that build that I shared for the FM, how it sucked. Okay, it sucked. Do better. Make it, post it, make a video, let me know, and I'll copy your ass. That's fine. I got no problem with that. I just want the lowest repair time I can.
Yeah.
I want nice and easy, man. I'm a lazy pirate. I don't care if I came up with it or someone else did.
Oh my goodness. That was impressive. That was impressive.
That was funny.
I think somebody just ate a Wookiee.
No, that was me. I was laughing kind of.
It's no problem. I think there was a Wookiee involved, though. But whatever.
Just nice timing, though. That. Very nice timing.
Do we have anything else? I mean, that would be a great.
That's a good way to break. Yeah.
That would be a great way to end the show if we knew that was coming. But anybody have anything else before we go to the after show? I'll post again, because that was impressive. If anybody, if you could repeat that, and then I'll just log out, and we'll consider it a successful show at that point.
All right.
Good. There you go. All right.
There we go.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
It's been fun. And we'll
Good night,
see you
everybody.
Wednesday.
Night.